Okay, so this is going to be a pretty unstructured video. I'm going to attempt to showcase how I built the Pillar of Autumn in Starfield. Forgive me, I haven't made a video in a very long time, so I'm going to try to do my best to make sure that this is seamlessly edited. But here is my completed build. It's not going to be the greatest as far as mobility. It's a pretty beefy ship, but I feel it served me well. I kind of went a little overkill on the weaponry, but I feel like the weapons you can actually customize and do whatever you want with. But I'll show you how to go and get the general shape and which habs I used to make this your own Pillar of Autumn. So let's get started. All right, the bottom layer, we have the standard Deimos landing bay. With this build, at least with the amount of cargo I had, I only needed to use 4 of the landing gears on each side there. Decided to go ahead and put the decorative front pieces here, the Deimos Skeg A, with an underlayer of a cargo hold, the Polo 2030. And then I used a Deimos hull to attach these side pieces here, the bumper port mid. This is what actually attaches the engine, because this particular engine does not have anything that attaches from the back. Some of these pieces you probably won't be able to attach right off the bat, as these attach from underneath. Same thing with this here. This right here is pretty straightforward. It's one solid piece. So let's go up to the next layer. All right, the next layer is going to be where a majority of the habs are, at least on the main level. We'll get into the upper levels here in a little bit. The interior of the ship design stuff that they've put in is not the greatest as far as ladders are involved. I'm sure you've already found that out on your own. But the primary piece that connects a lot of this together is the mess hall. Now, this is something that I wanted to try to implement in some way. My first iteration of this actually did not have it in at all. But on the Pillar of Autumn in Combat Evolved, you've got to go through the mess hall to get to the bridge. So I wanted to make sure that that at least was involved in some way. But that is going to be pretty much lined up with the landing bay. This is the 2x3. It covers the entire width of the habs area on the ship. Now, the bridge itself, I went with the big one. I felt like this was the most like the bridge on the Pillar of Autumn as far as like being able to see the windows and being able to see down and all around. The Ares bridge, it has 8 crew stations, which, I mean, so far in my playthroughs, I have not had any need for more than like 4 or 5 people on my ship. I feel like this does plenty by itself, so getting other habs in there specifically to get your crew stations up, I feel like is not really necessary with this build, but I did go ahead and add in a few other stations in. But attached to this, I wanted there to be a singular hallway with a singular ladder. So the ladder is actually going to be coming up straight through this middle port right here, and you'll see with the next couple layers up, the individual 1x1 habs. I basically got them stacked all the way up to the top where the docking port is. But coming off of this one, we've got an all-in-one berth from Deimos. This I felt like was the least obtrusive as far as things in the way, trying to navigate between one hab and the other. Now the back is where I got a little different. I really liked the captain's quarters from Hopetech. So I have that one coming off to the side there. And then I have the Hopetech living quarters over here. This has a bed in it, this has a bed in it, and this has 2 beds in it. Both have, passenger slots there, and a ton of passenger slots here, so you can be able to carry a variety of different transport people or whatever those little side missions you can get from the bounties, from the bounty board. Then I have the Deimos hull A on both sides there just to kind of fill the space. And I ended up putting the little wings, the Deimos wing aft and the wing D on the port. Now this is where you can do whatever you want with weapons. I put the auto alpha turret on these on the bottom, facing to the back and to the front. Or sorry, the back and the front. I did that on both sides. That way, if anybody's coming up from behind, that should be able to take care of it. And these usually do a pretty good job shooting at pretty much any enemy coming our way. All right, so let's go up to the next layer. All right, so this layer is where it's going to get a little weird because I believe some of these pieces have to attach from the layer up above, and we're going to get to the front nose piece as a separate thing here, probably with the next layer. But these guys right here can only attach from the pieces above, so we'll get to that here in a minute. The skeg B and the spine F. These were really only put in place to cover up the area that was going above the bridge. This was something that was kind of frustrating just because this protrudes up just ever so slightly, so I couldn't actually continue part of the hull going across the top. So this is really just kind of like a band-aid. Covers up this open area that I couldn't build anything on top of. But we'll get to how those attach here in a minute. This is where this particular type of piece, the hull A, I overused it a lot just to kind of fill in the extra spaces and give it the shape it needed. But the hull A, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 going across the top there with the wings, then 2 of the wing B on the port, and then the wing in the aft matched on the other side. This right here, the engine, the SA 4330 engine, the cargo hold, and the other matching engine. I don't believe, let me actually check here. I think this attaches from the back. Yeah, so you can attach that in there. We also have the grav drive. Most of the good grav drives and reactors are fairly large, so I wanted to make sure they had plenty of space. And we're still pretty hidden. As in the Pillar of Autumn, you don't really see any of that stuff on the outside. It's all on the inside, but they are 2 levels high. We've got the Apollo GV200 grav drive, and then the Fuser DC403 reactor. Here is the 1x1 companionway hab that's going to be directly over that piece that is straight up from the landing bay. I went ahead and put a helium tank in right here for 550, the H40 Atlas helium, and then I put a little extra piece of cargo in here, the V102, just to get a little extra cargo space. But that's going to be that layer. We are going to jump up one more, and we're going to start working on the front nose piece as well, because this is where things start to get a little tricky, trying to make sure it keeps its shape. Okay, so I've gone ahead and moved the next layer down and moved the nose piece down. This is where it gets a little tricky because this piece has to attach from above. We have the Deimos braking engine on the very front with more of the hull A's there. I went ahead and put, and this is strictly just for the weapons, I went ahead and put the wing E on all 3 layers of the nose piece to attach for a variety of different weaponry on here. This guy right here, I feel like is a necessity for any Pillar of Autumn build. I feel like this is what kind of gives it its identity for the front end, the M40 Ulysses tank. This piece right here and that one we just touched about, the Skeg B and the Spine F, they attach to the pieces above, and that is going to be a bunch more of the hull A's. We've got these pretty much lining the entirety of the rest of this here. With another layer of the wings, we got the wing D, the wing C, and the wing A aft. This is where I decided to go ahead and add in a couple different halves just to give me some extra things within the ship itself. So I went ahead and put the Deimos workshop. This port right here is what attaches to the ladder that goes all the way down, and where we will also attach the docking port to, so we can just keep the ladders in one specific location. After that, I went ahead and put the Deimos armory, the 2x1, and the Deimos infirmary, just for the added ability of being able to get some random drops of health and weapons, and also give me something pretty easy to get to for crafting and whatnot. Hi, Editor Will here. I realized what I had said while I was recording this was absolutely inaccurate. There are no random drops, or at least none that I found within the ship. I was thinking about the glitch with the outpost. If you drop weapon cases outside, apparently that will spawn in weapons. But that does not happen in the ship. All right, back to the build. One other thing I went ahead and lowered down for this layer is the shield, which I have placed on top of the cargo bay right now. It is the Assurance SG3000 shield generator. It's the only thing that kind of fit in this space while building the engines. I wanted to make sure I could have the big engines on the top and the bottom, just like in Combat Evolved. But that is this layer. We're going to go ahead and go up to the final layers here in just a second. All right, so this is our final layer. We've got another braking engine and then the hull A all the way across until you get to that same spot that the ladder was in. I went ahead and put the 110 DP Docker top on the very top there. Kind of gives it a little break in that nice spine. I was trying to find another way to where we could do a Docker on the side at one point, but in Halo, we've got that break in the actual Pillar of Autumn where Foehammer comes to pick you up. I like to imagine that that's where this is. Along the top, we have a variety of the different spines, just to give it a little extra shape. With these bumpers, the bumper mid all across the side. And again, this is what attaches to the big engine, the Poseidon DT20 engine. Now, as far as weaponry, you can do pretty much whatever you want. I went ahead and put the alpha beams. I have 4 of them, one on the top, one on the bottom, with the missile launcher right here in the middle, and then the auto turrets down here at the bottom. You can pretty much put whatever you want, depending on what type of playstyle you're going through, if you wanted to do piracy and put disruptors or anything on there. But this is a pretty good ship. After I built it, or at least got the primary, I've been slowly upgrading it over time and adding in the different halves. I've been trying to find out which layout works the best. But this is something that I kept through a majority of my first playthrough. I loved using this ship. It's got a great silhouette when you take off from planets. Please let me know what you think. I'm going to go ahead and put a little montage of using it, give you a little tour of the inside, show you what the actual layouts ended up looking like. But yeah, go ahead and leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear some feedback. I'd love to see some of your builds as well. Thanks for watching. Until next time.